Hello everyone, welcome to the table value training. We will begin by understanding the process flow. The user starts by accessing the table value screen, where a new record is created. All required fields must be completed. Once the information is entered, the record must be saved. This completes the setup. Before proceeding, ensure that the organization is defined. To proceed, navigate to the HR Management folder, then go to General Setup, and click on the table value. Enter the organization and user table name from the list of values. Match type and key measurement type will be auto-populated once the table is selected. Save the record. Next, go to the Column tab, select the column shown in the drop-down, and save the record. Then, go to the Row tab to define the value against each column and save the record. Now let us switch to the system and walk through each step to understand the configuration in action. The configuration begins on the login screen. The user will enter the username and password, and then click on the Login button. Upon successful login, the home screen appears, displaying default widgets and charts. To access the screen, navigate to HR Management, then to General Setup, and finally to Table Value. In the previous session, we learned how to create a table structure. Now in this session, we will see how to use those tables in the Table Value window to define actual values against each row and column. We will begin with the Header tab for basic setup. In the Organization field, select the relevant organization for which the configuration is applicable. If the same rule applies across all organizations, select the star organization. If it is organization-specific, select the respective organization. In our example, we are selecting the star organization. In the User Table field, select the appropriate table name for which you want to define the value. Only those table names will appear that were created in the Table Structures Header tab. Select the Medical Leave Entitlement from the drop-down. Based on the selected user table, the key measure type and match type fields will also auto-populate. Now click on the Save button. Now we will proceed to the Column tab to select the columns. On this tab, you will see three fields. Organization and User Table are auto-filled from the Header tab. The User Column field will show only those columns which were defined under the selected table in the table structure. Select the appropriate user column as Maternity Leave Entitlement and click on Save. If there are multiple columns created against the selected table, the user must repeat this step for each column displayed in the list. Once the column or columns are defined, move to the Row tab. Note that the Row tab is dependent on the Column tab, as values defined here are specific to each column. In this tab, you will see that the organization, user table, and column fields are all auto-populated. The next field is User Row, which is a drop-down showing the predefined exact field values created earlier in the table structure. Once a user row is selected, the string field will be automatically filled. Now, define the value that should apply to the selected range. For example, let us consider record 1. The user row will be greater than or equal to 0 or less than 1. The value is 0, meaning female employees with less than 1 year of service will receive 0 days of leave. The start date is January 1, 2000. The end date is optional and can be added later if the value needs to be updated. Click Save. For record 2, click on New Record. The user row will be greater than or equal to 1 and less than 3. The value is 45, meaning female employees with 1 to 3 years of service receive 45 days of maternity leave. The start date is January 1, 2000. Click Save. You can repeat this process to create more records for other ranges based on your table setup. You can follow the same steps for defining payroll-related configurations, such as statutory links, EIS, EPF, or any other value-based setups. Just select the relevant user table and define the values accordingly. This completes the configuration in the Table Value window. Thank you for attending. In this session, we saw how to link values to rows and columns created in table structure. See you in the next session.